Discipline is Destiny, the Power of Self-Control. This video is based on key insights from the book Discipline is Destiny, The Power of Self-Control by Ryan Holiday. Introduction. Ryan Holiday begins by highlighting the abundance of opportunities and comforts available to people in developed nations today, compared to even their recent ancestors. Despite this plenty, many individuals remain unhappy or unfulfilled. The issue, according to Holiday, isn't a lack of freedom, but rather the misconception that liberty equals license. Holiday emphasizes the importance of self-discipline and balance in managing one's life effectively. He points out that everyone, regardless of their circumstances, must learn to control their emotions, make wise choices, and set personal standards. This struggle within ourselves is known as akrasia by ancient philosophers, but it essentially boils down to a constant choice. Which side will win in our internal battle between impulse and restraint? Self-discipline, or temperance, is described as the ability to work hard, say no, practice good habits, prepare, ignore temptations, control emotions, and endure difficulties. It's about balance, resisting some things while pursuing others, all done with moderation, intention, reason, and without being consumed or carried away. Holiday uses the example of Dwight D. Eisenhower to illustrate this point. Despite his immense power as a World War II Supreme Commander and later as U.S. President, Eisenhower displayed greatness not through aggression or ego, but through simplicity and restraint. His self-command made him worthy of commanding others. Holiday argues that lack of discipline leads to danger and shapes who we are. He suggests that those who appear to get away with more often experience more pain, and their success is usually short-lived. True greatness lies in self-mastery, self-awareness, and temperance, not aggressive ambition or public acclaim. In essence, freedom requires discipline, and through discipline, we gain true freedom and the potential for greatness. The choice is ours. Will we grab the reins and control our lives with balance and self-restraint? Part 1. The Exterior, the Body. Lou Gehrig's life and career exemplify the power of self-discipline and balance. Born into poverty in New York City, Gehrig didn't have natural athletic talent, but developed it through sheer determination. His early struggles with teasing led him to a German gymnastics club where he built his strength. Gehrig's work ethic was unparalleled. He played 2,130 consecutive games for the New York Yankees, breaking records and setting an example of endurance. Despite injuries, including fractures in his hands, fevers, migraines, and a concussion from a fastball, he never missed a game. His dedication to the sport was so profound that he even played while unconscious after being hit by a pitch, demonstrating his extraordinary willpower. His discipline wasn't just about physical endurance, it extended to mental control as well. Gehrig didn't let external factors like injuries or setbacks deter him from his passion for baseball. He once said, "I have the will to play," emphasizing that he viewed playing baseball as a duty and privilege. Gehrig's commitment wasn't driven by vanity or personal gain, but by an ambition to excel. He knew that luxury or comfort could distract from his goals, so he kept himself disciplined, never getting too comfortable, even in his prime. His minimalist approach extended beyond training. He often wore the same uniform, refusing fancier equipment because cushions made him feel soft. This self-discipline wasn't just about personal achievement. Gehrig believed in giving his all for the team. He once told a rookie, Joe DiMaggio, not to worry about who would pitch against them, because the opposing team always saved their best for the Yankees. The epitome of his dedication was his unbroken streak, until ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, started affecting his body. Despite losing motor skills and strength, he kept playing, knowing when it was time to step down. His last game in 1939 saw him bench himself, recognizing that his performance had dropped, and he could no longer help the team as he wanted to. Gehrig's story illustrates how self-discipline and balance can lead to greatness. It shows us that true mastery comes from managing our bodies and minds, pushing them to their limits while also knowing when to rest or step back. His legacy serves as a reminder for all of us to be disciplined in our pursuits, balancing hard work with self-care, to ensure we can perform at our best for as long as possible. In this narrative, Ryan Holiday illustrates the importance of self-discipline and balance through the lives of various historical figures. Toni Morrison, a renowned author and single mother, found her creative peak in the early hours before her children awoke. This ritual allowed her to focus solely on her writing, free from daily distractions. Holiday highlights how Morrison's routine was both spiritually enriching and practically necessary, given her busy schedule. Despite her responsibilities as a mother and a professional in a predominantly white, male industry, she consistently woke up early to write, demonstrating her dedication and discipline. Morrison's story underscores the value of self-discipline. Holiday emphasizes that this isn't merely about being clever or witty at dawn, but more about capitalizing on the body's freshness and mental clarity before life's interruptions set in. This practice, he suggests, can be traced back to our ancestors who also rose early for prayer, work, or other essential tasks. Contrasting Morrison's disciplined lifestyle is that of King George IV, a notorious glutton whose indulgence in food and drink led to severe health issues. His story serves as a warning against the pitfalls of excess. Holiday argues that while immediate pleasure may be satisfying, long-term consequences often prove detrimental. This is exemplified by Babe Ruth, another individual who enjoyed his indulgences but paid dearly with health issues and missed opportunities. The narrative then shifts to Theodore Roosevelt, a stark contrast to King George IV. Despite being born with weak lungs and nearsightedness, Roosevelt transformed his body through rigorous exercise and an active lifestyle. This strenuous life, as Holiday calls it, wasn't just about physical strength, but also mental resilience and productivity. Roosevelt's story illustrates the power of self-discipline in overcoming limitations and achieving greatness. Holiday further emphasizes the significance of self-mastery through the tale of Dwight Eisenhower, who at 58 decided to quit smoking, a 38-year habit. His story underscores that it's never too late to take control and conquer personal weaknesses. Finally, Holiday discusses the principle of avoiding superfluous things. He references Cato the Elder, who lived simply and frugally, valuing independence over luxury. This lifestyle made him less susceptible to external pressures or bribes, demonstrating how restraint can lead to freedom and self-sufficiency. Through these historical examples, Holiday advocates for a balanced approach to life that combines discipline, moderation, and mindfulness of one's needs versus wants. This balance, he suggests, leads to greater personal freedom, power, and productivity. Ryan Holiday delves into the themes of self-discipline and balance in his narrative, highlighting the importance of organization and consistency in achieving success. He uses Robert Moses, a renowned figure in New York City's development, as an example of these principles. Despite Moses' controversial personality, he was incredibly productive due to his meticulous approach to work. Instead of letting things pile up on his desk or digital inbox, Moses processed each item promptly, ensuring nothing sat unresolved. This habit allowed him to stay focused and avoid distractions, leading to monumental accomplishments. Contrastingly, many people today find themselves overwhelmed by clutter, be it physical papers or digital chaos. This disarray can cause stress, hinder productivity, and make finding essential items a challenge. Holiday cites author Gretchen Rubin's concept of outer order, inner calm, suggesting that tidy spaces foster mental tranquility and creative thinking. The renowned chef's practice of mise en place echoes this idea, preparing all necessary ingredients before cooking to ensure a smooth process without distractions. Similarly, a clean workshop, locker room, or office promotes efficiency and safety. Conversely, disorganization can lead to sloppy work, missed details, and increased stress. Holiday then introduces the concept of showing up, consistently dedicating time and effort to tasks, regardless of mood or circumstance. Thomas Edison, known for his inventions, attributed much of his success not to genius, but to relentless attendance in his lab. Schwarzenegger echoes this sentiment, emphasizing the importance of daily exercise even amidst a pandemic. The message: consistency is vital, even when tired, uninterested, or faced with numerous other tasks. It's about taking small steps regularly. Holiday uses baseball legend Lou Gehrig as an example, noting that Gehrig's impressive career might have surpassed Babe Ruth's had he continued without ALS. Gehrig's success was rooted in his dependable attendance at the plate, understanding that every at-bat mattered regardless of performance streaks or feelings. Next, Holiday underscores the significance of paying attention to details, often referred to as sweating the small stuff. Coach John Wooden started UCLA basketball practices by teaching his players how to correctly put on their shoes and socks. While seemingly trivial, this attention to detail was crucial in preventing injuries from ill-fitting footwear on hard court surfaces. Holiday stresses that mastering the fundamentals, from stretching before workouts to following instructions meticulously, is essential for tackling larger challenges effectively. Ignoring these small aspects can render even brilliant strategies futile due to overlooked logistical issues. Finally, Holiday discusses hustle or urgency, the willingness to act swiftly and aggressively. He references General George McClellan during the Civil War, who, despite his military prowess, was notoriously slow in mobilizing troops due to fear, entitlement, and overcaution. Conversely, great leaders and athletes exhibit a sense of urgency, a readiness to act promptly without hesitation. This trait is valued in various fields, from military strategy to professional sports. Holiday encourages readers to embrace this mindset, recognizing that hustle isn't just about speed, but also about commitment and reliability. It's about always giving your best, even when it feels unnecessary or inconvenient, because you never know when it might make a critical difference. Ultimately, he urges everyone to hustle, not out of external pressures, but because it embodies dedication and character. Ryan Holiday tells the story of Octavian, who became Augustus Caesar through a slow, deliberate rise advised by Stoic teachers Athenodorus and Arrius Didymus. Instead of rushing his ascent to power, Octavian followed the saying festina lent, or make haste slowly. This approach contrasts with typical leaders who hurry and make mistakes. Octavian's methodical rise is highlighted by Holiday, emphasizing the importance of patience and balance in achieving lasting success. By spending years sharing power with Mark Antony and leading the Senate, Octavian built a strong foundation for his eventual rule. His slow but steady progress, guided by Stoic wisdom, led to a stable reign as Augustus Caesar, unlike many of his predecessors and successors. Holiday explains that true efficiency lies in doing things right, not just quickly. This principle is illustrated with the military saying, "Slow is smooth, and smooth is fast." He uses examples like General George Thomas, known as Old Slow Trot, who was deliberate rather than rash. Despite his slow pace, Thomas was unyielding in his commitment to his cause, ultimately leading him to victory against massive enemy attacks. The author emphasizes that hustle isn't always about speed, it's about doing things correctly. He cites the story of the tortoise and the hare, where the tortoise's consistent pace proved more effective than the hare's sporadic bursts of speed. Holiday warns against letting impatience lead to poor quality work or rushed decisions. In discussing practice, Holiday shares the story of master swordsman Nakayama Hakudo, who would draw his sword 2,000 times a day and 10,000 times in a single 24 hours during training marathons. This relentless practice turned actions into second nature. Similarly, the samurai Musashi's training led him to effortlessly counter attacks from rivals due to extensive preparation. Holiday underscores that there is no such thing as pretty good in pursuits of excellence. Constant improvement is necessary through diligent practice. He mentions Pablo Casals, who continued practicing late into his career because he believed he was still making progress. The chapter also features Joyce Carol Oates, a prolific author known for her impressive output. Despite facing writer's block and other challenges, Oates maintained a disciplined routine, often working daily and writing longhand. Holiday suggests that she views her work as inherently rewarding, rather than a chore or source of stress. Lastly, Holiday discusses dress for success through the example of Angela Merkel. Growing up under communist rule, Merkel adopted a simple, modest style in politics, an approach she chose to emphasize authenticity over fashion. This balanced approach demonstrates that while presentation matters, it shouldn't distract from substance or personal values. Throughout the chapter, Holiday emphasizes the importance of self-discipline and balance, suggesting that a blend of deliberate effort, consistent practice, and measured appearance can lead to remarkable achievements. Ryan Holiday tells a story about Seneca, a wealthy Roman philosopher who voluntarily endured discomfort to understand and accept life's challenges. Seneca often lived like a pauper for days at a time, eating bread and water, sleeping on the ground, and wearing rough clothing. This wasn't a mere hobby. It was a way to appreciate the resilience of those less fortunate. By experiencing hardship firsthand, Seneca prepared himself mentally for difficult situations. This practice proved useful when Nero, the emperor, tried to poison Seneca. His simple diet likely protected him. Holiday argues that many people today build walls around themselves against discomfort, unaware of how dependent this makes them. They fear losing their comforts and become risk-averse. Success can make us soft and fearful, addicted to our comforts and anxious about losing them. Holiday suggests that to counteract this, we should practice discomfort regularly, not letting it control us, but instead understanding how to endure it. This helps us stay strong and prepared for life's challenges. Holiday also discusses the importance of self-discipline in managing our physical limits. He cites Greg Popovich, coach of the San Antonio Spurs, who deliberately rested his star players to ensure they had enough energy for a playoff run and longer careers. This concept, known as load management, is crucial for athletes and regular folks alike. Overworking can lead to burnout and injuries. The author emphasizes the value of sleep as an act of discipline and character. He recounts how boxer Floyd Patterson prioritized rest before a championship fight, sleeping for 11 hours and napping before his bout. Proper sleep enhances performance and decision-making, unlike pushing through exhaustion. Holiday then shares the story of Ernest Shackleton, who endured immense hardships during an Arctic expedition. Despite his cruise ship sinking and being stranded on Elephant Island for months, Shackleton didn't give up. He braved harsh conditions to rescue his men, demonstrating extraordinary endurance and leadership. The narrative underscores the importance of resilience and self-discipline in facing life's challenges. It encourages us to prepare ourselves mentally and physically for adversity, rather than being overwhelmed by it. Holiday concludes that discipline frees us from being slaves to our urges or sloth, enabling us to create meaningful lives and contribute positively to others. Part 2, The Inner Domain, the Temperament. Ryan Holiday tells the story of Queen Elizabeth II to illustrate the power of self-discipline and balance. Born into royalty in 1926, Elizabeth didn't initially seem destined for greatness. Yet, she showed early signs of authority and reflectiveness that Winston Churchill noticed as a child. Plato's philosophical ideal for a leader young, with good memory, quick intelligence, courage, nobility, and temperance, resonated with Elizabeth's future development. Her path to the throne was unexpected due to her uncle's abdication and her father's early death. Yet, she cultivated the self-discipline required for her role. As queen, her duties are unique. She doesn't pass laws, choose leaders, or start wars. Instead, she remains informed about all matters of state, but can't overtly act on this information. Elizabeth's unwavering dedication is evident in her relentless service. For nearly 7 decades, she's worked tirelessly, visiting over 126 nations, meeting millions of people, and giving countless speeches, all while maintaining physical and mental poise. Her strength lies not just in her endurance, but also in her mental and emotional discipline. Despite the grueling schedule, she finds ways to manage effectively. She spends minimal time on each person, streamlines meals, and delivers speeches perfectly after the main course. This shows her wisdom in balancing efficiency and effectiveness. Beyond physical stamina, Elizabeth demonstrates remarkable emotional control. She rarely sweats, maintaining composure even during high-stress situations like a 1981 assassination attempt or a 1964 riot in Quebec. Her calm demeanor reflects her inner strength and self-discipline, allowing her to thrive amidst constant change. Elizabeth's commitment to learning and adaptation is unparalleled. She diligently reads extensive documents and newspapers daily, ensuring she stays informed, even though it's not required of her. Her discipline extends to questioning policy makers subtly rather than expressing opinions publicly, showcasing her restraint and wisdom. Change has been a constant challenge for Elizabeth, as she's had to preserve traditions while adapting them for the modern world. She's even proposed taxing herself, demonstrating her willingness to adjust within bounds. Balancing her wealth with duty is another aspect of her self-discipline, proving that abundance can be managed responsibly. Her ability to navigate criticism and change without complaint highlights her resilience. Even in difficult years like her annus horribilis, in 1992, she maintained accountability for the monarchy, understanding that scrutiny is part of public life. Elizabeth embodies self-discipline through her balanced approach to duty and enjoyment of privileges, setting an example for others. She remains relatable while maintaining respect, approaching her role with a mix of poise and warmth. Holiday concludes that true greatness lies not only in what one achieves, but also in the restraint shown within constraints, creative, conscious, calm action under limitations. Elizabeth's journey exemplifies this path of temperance, proving it to be a lifetime commitment worthy of admiration and emulation. In this chapter, Ryan Holiday explores the themes of self-discipline and balance through historical figures like George Washington, Booker T. Washington, Ludwig van Beethoven, and Joyce Carol Oates. George Washington, despite facing numerous trials including loss, war, and political strife, learned to respond calmly and rationally through the Stoic philosophy of "in the calm light of mild philosophy." He didn't let his emotions control him, but instead chose to pause and consider each situation carefully. This balance between passion and self-control was Washington's greatest victory, according to Holiday. Booker T. Washington exemplified discipline by prioritizing his main goal, educating a generation of Black men and women. He managed this through saying no to distractions, understanding that every yes meant a no to something else. His intense focus allowed him to lead the Tuskegee Institute and contribute significantly to society despite his many responsibilities. Ludwig van Beethoven's story highlights the power of deep focus, or raptus. He would immerse himself fully in musical composition, often ignoring distractions to extract every ounce of inspiration. This intense concentration, a form of self-discipline, fueled his genius and created masterpieces that continue to resonate today. Joyce Carol Oates is revered not only for her prolific writing, but also for her mental discipline. After completing a manuscript, she doesn't rush it into publication. Instead, she lets it rest and mature, sometimes for a year or more, ensuring every detail is polished to perfection. This patience, according to Holiday, is as crucial to creation as hard work alone cannot provide the necessary perspective needed for excellence. The overarching message of this chapter is that self-discipline and balance are keys to navigating life's challenges successfully. It isn't just about endurance, but also about choosing wisely what to focus on, being patient with oneself and others, and having the strength to wait for the best outcomes. These traits not only lead to personal growth, but also to leaving a lasting impact on the world. Ryan Holiday tells a story about Martha Graham, a famous dancer, who became trapped in her own perfectionism while working on a series called Ceremonials. Despite loving what she created and her dancers' commitment to it, Graham saw only flaws. Her obsession with perfection prevented her from finishing the piece and moving forward with her career. This pattern is common among great individuals. Their high standards can become a vice, hindering them from shipping their next project due to constant self-criticism. Holiday highlights that perfectionism often stems from narcissism or an obsession with minor details. It paralyzes artists, preventing them from enjoying past achievements and releasing new work into the world. This fear of imperfection can be crippling, as seen in Da Vinci's unfinished paintings and Ralph Ellison's inability to publish a follow-up novel despite years of drafts. Perfectionism is essentially a form of self-paralysis, argues Holiday. It causes one to miss the bigger picture by fixating on minor imperfections. This fear can lead to missed opportunities and unfulfilled potential. Finishing projects, no matter how flawed they may seem, is an act of great discipline that allows artists to grow and progress. Martha Graham was fortunate to have collaborators like Louis Horst who could push her towards completion. They understood the importance of balancing self-discipline with humility and practicality. Without this balance, artists can get stuck in their own heads, unable to let go and share their work with others. Holiday then explores the idea of prioritizing tasks, especially difficult ones, by discussing the concept, do the hard thing first. The philosophy emphasizes tackling challenging tasks immediately, rather than postponing them. This approach is exemplified by Toni Morrison's habit of writing early in the morning, before other distractions took over her day. By addressing tough tasks first, one gains a sense of accomplishment and mental clarity for the rest of the day. Next, Holiday shares a story about boxer Floyd Patterson, who lost his championship title due to underestimating his opponent and failing to prepare adequately. Following his defeat, Patterson received a letter from Archie Moore, his former rival and fellow boxer, offering encouragement and strategic advice. This act of kindness and self-discipline helped Patterson regain his focus, rewatch the fight film, and eventually win back his title nearly a year later. The narrative illustrates that failures and setbacks are inevitable, but do not have to define us. The ability to bounce back after mistakes or losses shows true resilience and character. Holiday uses Patterson's story to argue against perfectionism, which can lead to self-destructive behaviors when one fails to meet their impossibly high standards. Instead, embracing the reality of human flaws and learning from them is essential for growth. The chapter also delves into John F. Kennedy's struggle with chronic pain and addiction to medication. Despite his wealth and privileged background, Kennedy resorted to various drugs in an attempt to alleviate his suffering. His dependency on pills not only failed to cure his problems, but also placed a significant risk on others due to impaired judgment during critical moments of his presidency. Kennedy's story underscores the importance of temperance and self-discipline in managing pain, stress, and other challenges. Holiday criticizes Kennedy for seeking quick fixes rather than addressing underlying issues with holistic solutions like exercise and psychological therapy. He warns against viewing drugs as a magical solution to life's difficulties, reminding readers that real work involves facing and overcoming problems patiently and soberly. The chapter concludes by emphasizing the Stoic wisdom of learning to tolerate certain hardships and understanding when pain is a sign to slow down or make changes. Holiday praises individuals like Queen Elizabeth II for adhering to sustainable practices rather than shortcuts, highlighting the importance of self-care and body awareness in maintaining overall health and well-being. Ultimately, the balance between embracing challenges and taking care of oneself is crucial for leading a disciplined, healthy life. Ryan Holiday explains in The Battle Against Pleasure that true pleasure isn't about indulging every whim the body desires. Instead, Epicurus, a philosopher from 3rd century BC Athens, believed real happiness comes from the absence of pain and trouble in the mind. This means not giving into gluttony or excess, but practicing self-control and moderation. Holiday uses examples like King George IV, who allowed his gluttonous habits to negatively impact his health, and William Thalhimer, a wealthy man who endured racial discrimination rather than let it control him, to illustrate this point. He emphasizes that self-discipline isn't about denying all pleasure, but rather about ensuring our actions don't lead to a life of regret or misery. The author also discusses the importance of remaining calm and composed in the face of provocation, citing Arthur Ashe Sr., who remained unruffled despite facing discrimination, and James Peck, a freedom rider who didn't retaliate against his attackers. Holiday argues that we should strive to be like these individuals, not letting the actions of others dictate our emotions or behavior. In Beware This Madness, Holiday warns about the dangers of giving in to passion. He uses examples such as Sam Cassell's Big Balls dance that led to an injury, and politicians who sent regrettable letters out of anger. These instances highlight how losing control can lead to poor decisions and negative consequences. Holiday suggests we need to be disciplined enough not to let our emotions take over, whether it's anger, excitement, or lust. He advises against letting passion drive us, as it often leads us astray and can result in regrettable actions or decisions. Finally, in Silence is Strength, Holiday highlights the value of self-discipline in speech. Using Spartans and their renowned laconic style as examples, he argues that powerful people are often those who say less, choosing their words carefully and knowing when to stay silent. In today's world filled with technological distractions encouraging oversharing, Holiday stresses the importance of not only having the courage to speak up when necessary, but also the self-control to know when to remain quiet for one's own benefit. He concludes by emphasizing that every word should carry weight and that we should strive to let our actions, not our words, do the talking. In Hold Your Fire, Ryan Holiday illustrates the importance of self-discipline and balance through the example of Winston Churchill during World War II. Churchill, despite immense pressure to engage in battle, resisted the urge to rush into warfare. When France pleaded for British air support against Germany, Churchill remained composed. Instead of surrendering his Royal Air Force planes to aid in France's defeat, he held on to them. This restraint was crucial, as it preserved the British forces for the upcoming Battle of Britain. Churchill's decision was driven by his understanding that timing was everything in warfare. He believed that victory would come when they maintained air superiority over their island, not in hasty actions. This display of self-discipline proved prescient, as it ultimately saved Britain from a premature defeat. Holiday uses this historical anecdote to underscore the significance of restraint and calculated patience. He argues that true leadership requires the mental fortitude to stand alone against popular opinion, to wait for the perfect moment despite overwhelming pressure. This is not about procrastination, but making sure one's actions have the most significant impact possible. In another section of his work, Holiday references a young Napoleon Bonaparte's essay on happiness, where he cautioned against unchecked ambition. Despite his own later struggles with this very trait, Napoleon eloquently warned about the perils of relentless drive for power and success. This served as a stark reminder to himself, albeit unheeded at the time. Holiday also delves into the dangers of unchecked ambition, using examples like Alexander the Great and Napoleon Bonaparte. Their insatiable hunger for more power ultimately led to their downfall. It's a reminder that while ambition isn't inherently bad, it must be balanced with self-awareness and restraint. Furthermore, Holiday discusses the double-edged nature of wealth and money. He cites examples like Babe Ruth and F. Scott Fitzgerald, who, despite their vast earnings, struggled with financial mismanagement due to an uncontrolled desire for more. Lastly, Holiday emphasizes the value of constant improvement, or Kaizen. He uses Tom Brady as an example of someone who isn't content merely being the best. Instead, he strives to improve continually. This relentless pursuit of growth is what keeps him at the pinnacle of his sport, defying age and expectations. Throughout these examples, Holiday underscores that self-discipline, balance, and continuous improvement are essential qualities for success in all walks of life. They enable individuals to make wise decisions amidst pressure, maintain perspective, and ultimately achieve their full potential. In 1956, Harry Belafonte phoned Coretta Scott King when her husband, Martin Luther King Jr., was arrested again. Coretta was swamped with household duties due to the movement's demands and Martin's unwillingness to have help because of financial concerns and fear of judgment. Belafont insisted on hiring staff, a decision that wasn't just kind but also strategic. It gave King more time for his crucial work. This story highlights the power of self-discipline and balance. It's not easy to admit you can't do everything yourself, especially when you excel at certain tasks or have high standards. However, great leaders like Plutarch said, "A leader must know how to do many things, but cannot conceivably do everything due to physical and mental limitations." Sharing the load is often the best way to manage it. Being overly independent can lead to exhaustion and distraction from important matters. This was true for King, who should have focused on leading the civil rights movement instead of worrying about household chores. Similarly, in sports, like basketball, understanding and respecting time is crucial. Every second counts, just as every hour in our daily lives does. Wasted time is wasted potential. It's not just sloppy, but stupid to mismanage time. Time discipline involves setting routines, eliminating distractions, and using time efficiently. For instance, Phil Jackson, a rookie for the New York Knicks, learned the importance of knowing the exact game time, not just general elapsed time, under his coach Red Halsman's guidance. Respecting personal boundaries is another aspect of self-discipline. Queen Elizabeth II, for example, maintains strict privacy and reserve despite being in the public eye for decades. Such restraint helps in focusing on what truly matters and avoiding unnecessary distractions or entanglements. Doing your best is another key principle. Jimmy Carter, during his Navy application interview with Admiral Rickover, realized that just being in the top half of his class wasn't enough. He needed to give his all every time. This mindset helps in maintaining high standards and dealing with setbacks, as emphasized by Ralph Ellison's piano teacher Hazel Harrison. She urged Ellison to always play at his best, no matter the situation or audience. Self-discipline goes beyond natural talent or initial success. It demands constant self-awareness and control. Overindulgence or laziness can lead to poor performance and disappointment, not just for oneself, but also for those relying on us, as seen in the historical figure Alcibiades. In essence, mastering self-discipline means understanding your limits, respecting others' boundaries, doing your best consistently, and recognizing that sometimes giving more than expected is necessary. This balance between effort and restraint ensures we make the most of our potential for personal growth and impact on society. Part 3, The Magisterial, the Soul. Ryan Holiday tells a story about Antoninus Pius, an emperor of Rome, to illustrate the power of self-discipline and balance in leadership. Despite being at the peak of his career, Antoninus was asked by Emperor Hadrian to be a placeholder until a young boy named Marcus could take over. Instead of becoming power-hungry or scheming for his own benefit, Antoninus chose to rule with temperance and balance. Throughout his 23-year reign, Antoninus displayed remarkable self-discipline in all aspects of his life, from his health to his decision-making. He took care of himself physically by maintaining a simple diet and good posture, even as an old man. He also worked tirelessly, handling state affairs without complaint or distraction, and demonstrated unwavering adherence to his decisions once made. Antoninus was known for his calm demeanor, refraining from rudeness and violence even under immense stress and criticism. In terms of temperament, Antoninus taught Marcus the importance of logical decision-making and maintaining composure in difficult situations. He didn't let first impressions guide his decisions and knew how to push and when to pull back. Despite having immense power, Antoninus used it without arrogance or dependence, showing others that material comforts could be enjoyed without pretentiousness. Antoninus' most significant lesson to Marcus was equanimity, a calm and balanced mind in all circumstances. This balance was crucial when Marcus became emperor, facing historic floods, barbarian invasions, plagues, and political betrayals. Unlike his predecessors, Marcus handled these crises with self-control, never compromising his principles or losing sight of what was important. Marcus, inspired by Antoninus' discipline, became a philosopher king who prioritized mercy, forgiveness, and service over personal gain or revenge. He named his stepbrother co-emperor instead of eliminating him as a rival, demonstrating unmatched generosity. Marcus led by example, practicing self-restraint in wealth, health, and lifestyle while working diligently to better himself and the empire. Holiday uses Antoninus and Marcus Aurelius stories to show that true greatness isn't measured by fame or avoiding hardships, but by overcoming them with self-discipline, balance, and a clear conscience. Their examples inspire us to work on our character constantly, aiming for self-sufficiency, purpose, clarity, and resilience in the face of life's challenges. It reminds us that leadership isn't just about power, but also about being an example of moral integrity and wise decision-making. Ryan Holiday tells the story of Cato the Younger, a man known for his strict self-discipline and indifference to wealth. Despite living simply, he was unyielding in his honesty and personal standards. This stark contrast with his brother Scipio, who loved luxury, shows us that not everyone can meet the same level of self-control as Cato. Holiday emphasizes the importance of being tolerant with others while maintaining high personal discipline. He notes that it's unrealistic to expect everyone to share our dedication and willpower. We must accept people's different paths and choices, even if they don't align with our own. The author uses historical examples like Kobe Bryant and his struggle in the NBA, where his high expectations for teammates led to tension and potential losses. He contrasts this with the wisdom of Cato and Marcus Aurelius, who were strict with themselves, but also understood and loved their family members despite their differing lifestyles. Holiday advocates for combining self-discipline with empathy and understanding, rather than using discipline as a tool to judge others. He argues that superiority isn't about making everyone else conform to our standards, but about inspiring them through our own actions. In the chapter, Holiday also highlights the power of a strong leader who can remain composed under pressure. Queen Elizabeth II and historical figures like Marcus Aurelius are praised for their grace under duress, demonstrating that true strength involves self-control and poise in challenging situations. Furthermore, Holiday stresses the importance of a leader carrying burdens for their team. Brigadier General Jim Mattis's decision to take over an enlisted man's duty exemplifies this principle. Leaders must be willing to endure hardships alongside those they lead to earn trust and respect. Ultimately, Holiday underscores the idea that true leadership demands selflessness, discipline, and empathy, not just for personal success, but also for uplifting others. This approach might involve sacrifice, but it's a necessary aspect of genuine leadership. Ryan Holiday delves into the themes of self-discipline and balance through various historical examples and philosophical principles. He begins by discussing the importance of self-kindness, using Cleanthes, a Stoic philosopher from Athens, as an example. Despite advocating for high standards, Cleanthes understood that one should not beat oneself up over failures or mistakes. Holiday emphasizes that everyone, even admired figures like the Dalai Lama or historical leaders such as Marcus Aurelius, stumbles and falls short occasionally. The author argues that self-discipline doesn't mean self-punishment, but rather being a friend to oneself. It's about understanding we're all human, making errors and having flaws. If we were to witness a friend failing or losing their temper, we wouldn't berate them. Instead, we'd offer support and encouragement. Applying this same compassion to ourselves fosters growth and improvement. Holiday also explores the power of giving up control. He highlights George Washington's decision to resign his military commission after winning the Revolutionary War. Despite having the chance to rule as a king, Washington chose humility and returned to his farm. This act showcased self-restraint and understanding of power's potential corrupting influence. The author contrasts this with those who cling to power, citing examples like Dov Charney, whose obsession with control led to the downfall of American apparel. The concept of turning the other cheek is another facet of self-discipline, as demonstrated by Martin Luther King Jr. when he was physically attacked during a speech in 1962. Despite the assault, King chose to forgive his attacker and not retaliate, illustrating how one can maintain dignity amidst aggression. Lastly, Holiday touches upon the art of strategic retreat. Using examples like Socrates during the Battle of Delium and the Dunkirk evacuation during World War II, he underscores that sometimes turning back or disengaging is a mark of strength rather than weakness. It requires self-control and wisdom to know when to back off instead of pushing forward recklessly, potentially saving resources and maintaining morale for future battles. In essence, Holiday advocates for a balanced approach to self-discipline, one that combines rigorous standards with self-compassion, wisdom in using power, and strategic retreat when necessary. In his time of deepest despair, Beethoven found the strength to carry on despite immense pain and misfortune. Struggling with health issues, failed love, professional disappointments, and political turmoil in his homeland, Beethoven considered ending his life. However, he held on to his art as a reason to continue living. His determination was tested by a deteriorating health condition that threatened to take away his ability to create music. But he endured, creating timeless pieces like Für Elise and Piano Concerto No. 5. Beethoven's story highlights the power of self-discipline and balance. Life can be unbearably difficult, but the will to persevere can transform hardship into greatness. The philosopher Seneca echoed this sentiment, stating that sometimes simply surviving is an act of courage. Throughout history, individuals like Beethoven have shown extraordinary endurance in the face of adversity. They've included artists like Lou Gehrig and Marcus Aurelius, historical figures like Queen Elizabeth II and James Stockdale, and even modern-day athletes like Stephen Hawking and Michael Jordan. Each of these individuals refused to quit, pushing through personal struggles with unwavering resilience and quiet fortitude. Their stories remind us that endurance is not just about weathering a storm, but maintaining our integrity amid ongoing challenges. They prove that even when faced with life's harshest blows, from chronic illness to war, public failure, or personal tragedy, one can conquer themselves and their circumstances through discipline and perseverance. Historians like Plutarch and authors such as Ryan Holiday urge us to learn from these heroes of quiet fortitude. We must cultivate our self-control, not for the sake of punishment or deprivation, but to become the best versions of ourselves. This journey isn't about outdoing others. It's about mastering our inner selves, our thoughts, emotions, and actions. Beethoven exemplified this when he chose to stay in the world despite his worsening deafness. His story teaches us that success does not change who we are at heart. Even as leaders or celebrated figures, individuals like Angela Merkel and Queen Elizabeth II maintain humility, adhering to their values amidst fame and power. In essence, self-discipline is the bedrock of virtue. It's not just about self-control. It's the foundation upon which all other virtues, courage, justice, wisdom rest. Self-mastery isn't effortless, especially with success dangling numerous distractions and temptations. Yet, true strength lies in remaining uninflated by external factors, staying grounded in one's principles, and using the power wisely. Ultimately, it's our choice whether we embrace discipline or succumb to ill-discipline, whether we choose virtue or vice. Each day presents us with opportunities to decide between dependence and independence, ruin or greatness. The destiny we create hinges on this decision. Discipline is the path to such self-determined fate. Will you embrace it? And that brings us to the end of our summary of this book. I hope you found it insightful and valuable. If you enjoyed this video, hit like and subscribe for more. Your support helps us bring you more great content. Thanks for watching.